In this lesson, we will focus on the traditional problem-based CCD. We collect relevant data for this CCD at the initial evaluation as well as at every session. When we do, we look for data that helps us and clients understand how the meaning of their current and past experiences led to the development, maintenance, and strengthening of their maladaptive beliefs. Additionally, we look at how these beliefs affect their thoughts and reactions in specific situations today. In a recovery orientation, we especially focus on automatic thoughts of clients that they predict will interfere with their ability to take valued actions or the steps on their action plans aligned with their goals and aspirations. Another way to gather data for the problem-based CCD is to continually look for common themes among clients' thoughts and beliefs. The format of the problem-based CCD is the same as for the strength-based CCD, but the content is different. As opposed to focusing on positive experiences and adaptive beliefs, we use the problem-based CCD to document the negative experiences and negative belief development. Here, we want to align clients' experiences and beliefs with the maladaptive, unhelpful mode of responding to challenging situations. To achieve this goal, we utilize the process of information gathering that I shared with you earlier in this module. Before we go to an example of the problem-based CCD, let's review a couple of important concepts and strategies. Our collaborative goal in treatment is to help our clients feel better and achieve their goals and aspirations. However, clients' beliefs, cognitions, and behaviors in the maladaptive mode present a barrier to this pursuit. Our main goal for completing the problem-based CCD is to identify specific beliefs, cognitions, and behaviors to serve as potential targets for CBT interventions. To complete the problem-based CCD, we use the background information collected during the initial evaluation, as well as things that clients share with us on an ongoing basis. This time, we focus on the experiences and patterns that led to the development of maladaptive core beliefs. Maladaptive core beliefs about the self typically fall into the categories of unlovability, helplessness, and worthlessness. Clients' core beliefs about others, the world, and the future might include themes of unpredictability, untrustworthiness, danger, and hopelessness. Earlier in this module, we discussed identifying core beliefs by listening or spontaneous client statements or doing the downward arrow technique. We can also elicit clients' core beliefs by presenting a list of statements and asking clients if they strongly identify with any specific words. You can access sample lists of negative and maladaptive core beliefs in the Extend Your Learning section at the end of this module. You might still wonder, how do you elicit clients' intermediate beliefs? You might do so in a manner similar to identifying core beliefs by looking for patterns across clients' cognitions. Alternatively, look at clients' maladaptive coping strategies and think about how they are linked to their negative core beliefs. For example, to identify a maladaptive assumption, try the format. If I use my maladaptive strategy, I will be okay, at least for the moment. If I do not, my core belief will become evident. Now, I would like us to look at Kate's problem-based CCD. Please watch the following video, where I elicit information to complete Kate's problem-based CCD. So Kate, when we were setting the agenda, you told me that you sort of remembered a time in your past that you had like bad feelings about, and that you wanted us to talk about that today. So yeah. I'm wondering if you could tell me about when that was and what was going on.
Yeah, so I think I was about 17. So like, you know, I'm in high school and I don't know really what was going on with my family, but like we just started to struggle financially. Like I couldn't have things that I wanted to have. Like, you know, like my parents would like make comments about like, oh, well that costs so much money, or, you know, this is so expensive. And I don't know, like even for the things that I needed, I feel like they started saying that for. So just, I felt like I couldn't really depend on them, if that makes sense. Like they weren't, but they didn't seem like they were working really hard. So it was kind of weird because I'm like, well, just do more. Like, do you know what I mean?
Was this something that changed from a previous time? I mean, had things before that seemed
seemed
okay,
fine to me,
and
yeah.
then something kind of unexpectedly, unexplainably changed for you?
Yeah, like, so, I mean, we seem to have had a normal-ish life, you know, for us. And I guess it seemed like my dad would like complain a lot, like having headaches or just not like feeling well. But he would like hang out with friends. So I'm just kind of like, how well were you not feeling if you can't go to work, but you could?
Yeah. But
Like
you could hang out with your friends.
But you could hang out,
Seems
right?
like a contradiction.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
when you think about that time, does a particular event or day come to mind that sort of stands out as being worse than other days?
yeah, so I remember, it's so like weird to think about this, but like I wanted this instrument. Like I was really good in music. I was playing the trumpet, and my music teacher, you know, was like, you really should have your own. Like the school I went to, like they would have like ones that you can use, but I don't know if you know much about the trumpet. You can change the mouthpiece.
Yeah.
And so I was like, this would be good for me. Like this would be, and then like I talked to my parents about it, and they were like, no, like you can't like have that. And I just remember thinking like, this isn't like me wanting to go to a party, you know, like this was an important thing. This was school related. Like how could you not?
This was really deflating for you. You were pretty excited
Yeah.
about this. And then, so at what moment, was it when you were talking with your parents about it? But at what moment was sort of like the worst moment for you in that day?
I think it was during the conversation, because I just remember being like, you can't be serious. Like, really? Like, you can't do this? Like,
So,
yeah.
So you were at home with your parents
we were
and
at
talking to them? And was this a normal kind of thing that you would talk at the end of the day about how your day went, or was this unusual that you'd be having this kind of conversation?
I mean, I tried not to have conversations about things that I needed. Like I learned like something was going on and I just couldn't like really do that. So, but yeah, we used to talk kind of like, you know, just chat. But that day, like my intention was actually to have that conversation. Like I'd come home from school and I was like, okay, I want to have this conversation to see if we can get this thing. So like if I can get this trumpet.
So when it was clear to you that they were saying, no, we can't do this, what did you feel at that moment?
don't know, dread sounds a little dramatic, but I felt disappointed. That's what it was. Like I felt
Disappointed?
disappointed,
Okay,
like a little bit of anger.
sure.
Yeah, and a little
Sad?
a little sad and
Perhaps?
hopeless, like kind of like a
Sad?
hopeless, sad, hopeless kind of feeling.
Sure.
Yeah.
At that moment, they said, no, we can't do this. You're feeling disappointed, angry, sad, hopeless. What's the first thought that goes through your mind?
Like, I'm just gonna have to do things myself. Like, you know, like I can't depend on you. Like,
Ah.
that was my thought. Like, I can't depend on you guys.
Can't depend. Okay.
Yeah.
What did you do? I mean, at that moment, because you were feeling really bad at that moment, what did you do to deal with that?
It's kind of weird because I just left and said like, oh, okay, and just acted like it wasn't really a big deal. And then I just went to my room and just continued the day and just said to myself, like, fine, I won't get this. And
I'm not sure if I'm getting this right, but it sounds like you went to your room and maybe look for some ways to soothe yourself, to
Yeah.
just help to...
in some ways, I think I
How
kind of
did you
like
do that?
pretended like it wasn't even, like I almost told myself like I didn't care about it, you know?
Okay.
So, and then I don't know, maybe I can't remember. I think I probably like started like talking to a friend or something,
Okay.
or like,
So you kind of distracted yourself, called a friend, and...
yeah, like we started like AOL messaging and stuff.
Okay. If we could go back to this thought that you had, that you needed to do it yourself, that you can't depend on anyone. So without knowing more about it, I don't know, and I'm not in a place to make any judgment about that. But if that were true, that you were on your own and you couldn't depend on anybody else, what would that mean about you at that time?
Like if I guess if I don't work hard enough, like I'm just not gonna accomplish it. Like I'm not gonna get the things that I want. I'll eventually just like fail because I can't depend on anyone else. So I have to work hard. You know what I mean?
So that was a kind of conclusion that you drew, that you're going to have to work hard
Yeah,
if
like
you
if I
want to
don't
get
do
the
it.
things you want.
Yeah.
But what would it mean about you that you're the kind of person that you couldn't depend on other people? What would that say about you, that you couldn't depend on others?
I don't know. Like I'm just kind of it's like I don't have anyone. Like it's almost like I'm a loner. Like I don't have people, you know?
That you're a loner, that you don't have people that you can rely on,
yeah, or-
have relationships
I
with?
can't, you just can't depend to have a
And
good
what,
relationship.
What kind of a person is that can't rely on people, that doesn't have relationships?
Maybe a little bit of a nobody, actually. Like,
A nobody.
yeah.
Okay. Does that say something about your worth?
Yeah, like if you think about it, it's like, isn't that kind of like, you know, you kind of feel worthless if you, like, as I think about it, you know? So it's kind of like, if you don't work hard, it's like you're kind of worthless. Like if you don't have people, you're worthless. Like, so.
Let's take that just a step further if we could. So when you're in this mode where you're thinking about yourself as not having any worth, not having anybody that you can rely on, how would you finish this sentence if you were in that mode? If I try to rely on somebody, then
So let me down.
they'll let me down.
Yeah.
Okay. And what would that lead to in terms of an attitude about wanting to rely on other people? Would you want to rely on other people? Would you want to go to other people to ask them for support?
I can tell you I didn't. Like, I just stopped depending on people. Like, I stopped asking people for help.
Uh-huh.
Like, unless I absolutely had to. And so I just kind of did my own thing and just worked as hard as I could and just didn't depend on anyone.
It sounds almost like you formed this rule for yourself. Don't rely on other people.
I guess so, yeah.
Do it yourself.
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay.
I didn't think about it as a rule, but I guess it is.
How has that served you since that time?
Well, I mean, to be honest, I guess I could have had closer relationships, you know, I guess it prevented me from maybe getting a little bit closer to other people.
Okay. So that would be maybe the downside. We could talk about that another time. I'm wondering, what does that lead to in terms of behaviors? What are the things that you did to kind of either cope or compensate for that?
I worked hard.
You worked
hard.
hard.
I just did what I had to do.
Yeah.
Like, I just worked as hard as I could. I guess, yeah.
You worked as hard as you could. Were there other things that you did to...
Yeah. I don't know. I think that was pretty much it. Just the working hard, being very careful about my decisions, like what I wanted. So I had to think about what I wanted even more. Like is that something that's worth your time, your energy? Like, so just trying to make good decisions, essentially. So I don't know that I felt like I could make a lot of the mistakes, you know?
I'm wondering, based upon a couple of other things that you said, if a way that you dealt with that was to try to keep some distance from other people, that you didn't get too close to them so that you would need to rely on them, and that perhaps prevented you from having some of the relationships or some of the closer relationships that you might have had. Does that sound right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. To begin our review of Kate's problem-based CCD, let's start at the bottom of the diagram. Here, you will see 3 cognitive models. Kate and I could have chosen many situations to use for the bottom of this CCD. We selected these 3 situations because they provide us with an opportunity to compare Kate's responses when in the maladaptive mode versus the adaptive mode that was illustrated above. As a reminder, these cases represented very typical situations in which Kate experienced negative emotions or coped in an unhelpful way. The situations I chose based on my discussions with Kate were being asked to develop a new policy at work, a conflict with her partner, and having to juggle too many things. They were also chosen because the automatic thoughts in each situation had a different theme. When you notice more than one theme in clients' automatic thoughts, it is important to capture the variety on the CCD. Kate's maladaptive automatic thought in the first situation was, I don't know where to start. Her automatic thought in the second situation was, this relationship is never going to work out. And her automatic thought in the third situation was, this is too much. I can't handle it. Kate's emotional response to the first situation was moderately high anxiety, and her behavioral response was procrastination. Her emotional response to the second situation was high anxiety and worry, and her behavioral response was avoidance. Her emotional response to the third situation was feeling overwhelmed, and her behavioral response was to freeze in inactivity. Now that we completed the cognitive models in the problem-based CCD, let's move to the top of the diagram. To fill out the top box of the problem-based CCD, I asked myself, what experiences did Kate have during her lifetime that led to the development, maintenance, and strengthening of her negative beliefs about herself, the world, other people, and the future. I also asked, what experiences brought on recent distress? And what meaning did she put on those problematic experiences? Next, I filled in Kate's maladaptive core beliefs using her own words. To do so, I asked Kate's permission and used the downward arrow technique to identify the meaning of automatic thoughts in 3 different situations. For each thought, I asked her, if this thought was true, what would that mean about you? And if that is true, what would it show about you? Kate responded to my questions by saying that she sees herself as incapable, helpless, and unprepared. This information was recorded in the meaning of the automatic thought box on the CCD, as well as the maladaptive core belief box. Next, I decided to complete the coping strategy box of the diagram. A good starting point was to review Kate's behaviors across 3 different situations. The behaviors recorded there seemed quite typical for her. I also asked myself, is Kate regularly using any other patterns of unhelpful behavior to deal with her challenges? And I would have added those to the coping strategies box. You can access Kate's completed problem-based CCD in the course manual linked below. Here's a clinical tip. Make sure that behaviors in the coping strategies box are a part of a larger pattern. Listing an atypical behavior will throw off your conceptualization and mark this atypical behavior as potentially important to target in treatment. Now that you've seen me gather information for and complete the problem-based CCD for Kate, review another completed problem-based CCD for my other client, Anna, below. You will see that it captures background information, including the negative experiences that she had growing up and her mother's death. These experiences provided the foundation for her core beliefs, intermediate beliefs, automatic thoughts, and typical behaviors, which make up her maladaptive mode.